Guys, we have a very special edition of choir practice to bring you. You want to introduce our guest?
No, I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Matt Lima from Somerset Police Department in Massachusetts.
So we're going to get into his story in a bit, but first we always start over here. I want you to sign the thin blue line flag. If you have never seen choir practice before, tell them all the backstory of choir practice, what it means.
It's when law enforcement officers get together and share a cocktail, or today, a coffee edition. Tell stories about the work that we do, good days, bad days, and we kind of decompress. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to honor our man here, but we'll talk about why after.
You should probably write Somerset PD on there too, because it kind of looks like you took a Sharpie and sneezed. Oh, what's going on there? So guys, this flag is one of, I believe we have 8 thin blue line flags going all across the country to police departments for law enforcement to sign. It all started because we had a thin blue line flag here at the office that internet trolls told us we needed to take down. And so we, instead of taking it down, we got some really, really big flags as a show of support. So let's have him sign the Unity poster. Give everyone a quick backstory on that while he signs.
The Unity poster, plain and simple. It's just showing that we're unified. Police and communities together, we're unified together to make this a better world and a better country, more importantly.
All right, so this is our special coffee edition of choir practice. Anytime we have an officer come out here in uniform, we obviously switch over to coffee. And for those of you who have never watched this show before, the reason why it takes place at the Whiskey Wall is because even though this is a wall of alcohol, it's also a wall of stories. We invite active and retired emergency responders and veterans out here to the Whiskey Wall. We have a separate show where they bring a bottle of whiskey, we share a cocktail, and they tell you a story about a good day on the job and a lousy day on the job. And then their name goes on the bottle and the bottle goes on the wall. So behind us, I encourage you not to think of it as a wall of whiskey, but rather a wall of stories. And today we've got a super, super cool story. Why don't you really kind of break it down, and I'll let you do the interview of our guest today.
Yeah, I'm going to save the part about it until we get to it. But today we're graced. This is our first choir practice with a uniformed professional on the show, right? So we have Officer Matt Lima here from Somerset Police
Poor
Department.
Chief had no idea what he was getting into.
I guess not. I don't think I did either.
So it's kind of cool. We're going to talk more about him and where he comes from and stuff, and then we'll get to, as usual, my good story of the day. So without giving away too much, he is my good story of the day, and we'll get into that a little bit more after that. But let's just start talking about you. Tell us about you.
Matt Lima from Somerset Police in Massachusetts. I've been on the job just about 7 years now. Primarily in patrol as a beat cop. I ride the motorcycles for a regional motorcycle unit, and I'm a field training officer. And a couple of other things, but those are the most important ones.
Awesome. Yes, that's good stuff. Tell us more about Somerset. Give us a feel for where you're at.
So Somerset's in southeastern Mass. It's a town of about 20,000 people, but it's very small geographically, so we have a pretty dense population. Pretty good, mix of businesses and residences. We're right next to the city of Fall River, and we're maybe 10 or so miles from the border with Rhode Island. So we're right nestled in there in the south coast of Mass.
You kind of have that mix of a Southie/Rhode Island dialect going on.
Yeah, I get told that all the time, so nobody can quite figure it out, but once I say I'm from the Fall River area, they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
We won't confuse that with a Southern accent.
No, definitely not. And what about leading up to law enforcement? What reasons for getting in law enforcement? What do we got?
I've wanted to be a cop probably since I was 14 or 15 years old, when I actually sat down and figured out what I really wanted to do, and gave it some serious thought. Just like every other cop who gets into being a police officer, you just do it because you want to help people. And then it evolves into, it's a good career, it's a good profession, it's always going to be there for you if you're there for it. So that's why I became a cop. Prior to being a cop, I managed the gym, which was a lot of fun. Okay. So that's what I did after college for a couple of years while I was trying to get on the job. Managed the gym, got really into fitness, and here I am.
That's pretty obvious.
Now, I want to give you guys a little bit of context too. So one of the main reasons why we do this show is because there are so many untold stories about the world of law enforcement. You put on the news and you see riots and anarchy and craziness, and you hear all about these big, bad, evil cops. Now, I'm not in law enforcement. I never have been. I'm the national spokesman for law enforcement today, but this guy spent a real long time in law enforcement. And so Bernie and I came together with this show to try and expose to you some of the stories about what really happens behind the uniform. So let's get into that day, man. You made some national headlines recently because of an action that you took. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that call that came in?
So it was December 20th. We got a call to our local supermarket, which is Stop and Shop. Loss Prevention had called the police station. They said that they had two females that were detained, and they had their two children present with them. So myself and another officer responded up there, investigated the call.
What ended up coming out of it?
So when I walked in there, I just happened to walk where loss prevention takes the suspects of any alleged shoplifting is towards one particular side of the store. So you have to walk through the entire store basically to get there, the front of the store. So as I'm walking by, I see these two little girls just kind of running around playing, laughing with one of the employees who I later learned I believe was an assistant manager there. So I walked by those two little girls into the area where the loss prevention associate was. I start talking to him about what the alleged crime was. He told me that the two adult females were at the self-checkout area. They were taking certain items and scanning them, and then allegedly taking other items out of their cart and bypassing them, just putting them into bags and then back into their cart without paying for them. So he presented to me a receipt of all the items that were allegedly bypassed. So I'm looking at the receipt, and right away it's like, it's all groceries. You know what I mean? It's broken down into groceries and produce. Every single thing on that receipt was something that you could eat. That was clue number one for me. I took one of the females that was there with me away privately so I could talk to her to see what the story was. She explained to me that she was the aunt of the two children there, that the other woman was her sister. So I asked her, I'm like, well, what's the story? Are you working right now, or, how's things going? She told me she was working. She wasn't working enough. She wasn't getting paid enough money. She knew what she did was wrong. She admitted to it. So right there, you got the truth coming out, which unfortunately is pretty rare. And then she made a gesture towards the kids, and she's like, it was a Christmas dinner for the kids. I have two kids that are basically the same age as those two girls there, and it just kind of took me aback. Took the mother over and talked to her, told me the same thing. So like, I knew it was wrong. I shouldn't have done it. I'm responsible, and told me the same set of circumstances as the aunt. So after speaking with them, I went to the loss prevention associate, and I just told him that, listen, I'm not going to press charges here. And I gave him my reasons why. I asked him if he wanted to have them trespass from the store, so obviously it's private property. The store can determine who can come in and who can't. He said that they would. So I went out to the cruiser. I started to fill out those forms. I checked the females' records to see if they've ever done this in the past. They had no record. So then I sat in my cruiser and I was like, what am I going to do about this? You know what I mean? And I just had that moment where I was like, I'm either going to pay for the merchandise or I'm going to get them some gift cards so they can have a good Christmas for the kids. So I went back in the store. I served them with their trespass notices. Then I went back to the loss prevention associate and I asked them if they still had that cart full of food that she allegedly had bypassed. He said that they didn't, that they had put it all back on the shelves already. So I told them I wanted to get some gift cards or something so they could go to a different Stop and Shop and buy whatever they needed for the kids for their groceries or for Christmas dinner or for whatever. So I gave the loss prevention associate my card. He went over, got the gift cards. We escorted aunt and the mom out with the two kids outside. And then, I told her obviously they can't come back to the store. I didn't go over it with them, like, this is right. They already knew it was wrong. Yep. You know what I mean? So I told them, hey, unfortunately you can't come back here, but you can go to a different Stop and Shop. And then I gave them the gift cards that I bought for them.
What was their reaction like?
They were very thankful. To me, they were like in shock. Obviously, you know what I mean. Like,
Sure.
I wouldn't expect if I were in that situation that would be the end result. I'd probably would be expecting to either get a ticket to go to court or be arrested. So it was kind of a shock to them.
What I find to be so inspirational about this, and this is the message that I want everyone to take away. You had you had a choice. Everybody in this world, everybody in life has a choice. They didn't necessarily make the choice that everybody would agree with, right? Was not legal, was not ethical, but they made a decision that for whatever reason they thought it was in the best interest of their kids. They knew the consequences, they knew what they did was wrong. You also had a choice to make, which is I can go after them, I can throw the book at them, or I can follow my own heart. And this is what I don't think people realize in the world of law enforcement, which is that there is a certain amount of discretion that's available to officers.
Yeah.
And you did something that I think is going to resonate with them and be, sort of that moment, that switch for them. But our hope is that by putting this out there, so many other people realize that this happens in law enforcement every single day.
It does. Yep.
Talk to me a little bit about the need for discretion, Bernie, having been in for decades.
Well, when I heard the story, my friend Melissa mailed it to me, and my mom was aware of it, so it had reached down to South Carolina, and it really resonated in every part of me, because the discretionary part, when you read the story, and then Matt just tells you the story about, the kids weren't there during this whole thing, taking people separately and maintaining their integrity. They're aware of what they did, but he's treating them with respect and dignity.
Your body cam footage at one point got audited, right?
Yes.
And someone saw something that you had done, which again comes back to that officer discretion. It was a pullover. Can we talk about that?
How did you know about that?
Because I know everything, Bernie. Are you comfortable sharing that story?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
The gentleman had run a stop sign. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
And I pulled him over for running the stop sign. And he kind of had that look on his face like, this is the least of my worries today. And I said, what's going on, man? And he said, I just beat cancer. Just left the cancer center, rang the bell. So I went back to my car, came back, pulled him out of the car, gave the guy a hug, and said, you know what, life is so much better than what we're going through right now. God bless you and be on your way. So I guess that story, in a different way resonates with me too, because it's nice to have the ability to show your heart to people.
Right.
Not everybody hits that gauge with us. For people who are looking saying, oh, well, we should do it. No, some things touch you more than others. Some things take you away from the job you serve to do and brings you into who you are and shows why that merging of your heart and your soul and who you are makes such a big difference out there on the road.
So as a guy who's not in law enforcement and as a guy who works in public relations, let me tell you something that cops suck at. You guys suck at talking about the good things. You really do. Like, agencies across the country are the worst with community relations publicly.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah,
this stuff
true.
happens every single day, but nobody talks about it. That's why I was so excited, man, to see the national exposure
Well,
for
to
you.
speak about that, it's kind of funny because this happened on December 20th. I deliberately didn't write the police report for a couple days because I didn't even want it to be in the police log that other officers could read.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we're awful about, when we do something good, just owning it and being like, not only was it good, it was the right thing to do and people should hear about it. A couple days later, I wrote the report, sent it to my supervisor, and then they did the right thing. And my supervisor wrote a letter up to my lieutenant. My lieutenant wrote a letter up to the captain. I got up to the chief's office, and then he calls me. And he's like, hey, I'm gonna put out a press release about it. I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, go for it. Never thinking it would get to the level that it did. But yeah, it's you're 100% right.
We hear from PIOs all the time, right? At law enforcement today, we're constantly getting emails from PIOs saying, hey, listen, there's some body cam footage out there that CNN or whoever put out there that they're missing a lot of context. Can we address that? Yeah, of course we can. But one of the problems that we have is this negative view of law enforcement is because law enforcement is so reactionary in that public relations space. And now, it's nice to see departments getting more into like, hey, let's focus on some of the community service that we're doing. Let's share some of the positive stories, but it tends to be so reactionary. Mm-hmm. So I would encourage every single PIO or chief or anyone who's watching this right now, send us these stories because you need the positive exposure.
Yeah.
America needs to see the positive exposure of what's happening. So email media@lawenforcementtoday.com. Send us your stories. We'll help you out with the negative stuff when you need it, but send us some of this positive stuff, guys, because we need it. We got to put this out there.
And we got to give kudos to your department, because you can write that report and someone looks at it and says, okay, But you know what? Somebody realizes excellence in their officers, and your chief said some nice stuff about you and exemplary officer is. And just so people know, you know, he says he's been wanting to be an officer since he was a teenager, and he's trained for that. He graduated #1 in his class in the academy. You know what? So he's good at all that stuff, but look at his heart too. His heart is as exemplary as the service that he does to his community each and every day.
I appreciate it.
And we appreciate you, my brother, definitely. Our foundation we've talked about is the Blue Angels, and to get a shirt from us for volunteering means the world to me. And I have a shirt that I want to share with Matt, and I'm just going to show you real quick. So it says Blue Angels, we got America on there. But this is what's most important, my friend. On the back it says, to the world you are one person, but to one person you are the world. And for those people and for those kids that day, and for me personally, you are the world. You're the world as I want the world to see us as law enforcement officers, and I bless you and honor you for your service.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All I got was a cup of coffee. Way to make me look bad, man. Guys,
That's
thank
cool,
you all
thanks.
so much for watching. Thanks for sharing. God bless you all, and God bless America.